In this video, you're going to start looking at JavaScript data types. So in JavaScript, you're going to find many data types. So first, we're going to start with the primitives. So what is a primitive? A primitive data type is a data type that cannot accept any property or method to be attached to it. So what does it mean exactly? Well, if you remember, earlier, we used the console global object. So the console is an object, and consequently, it has got properties and methods attached to it. Unlike an object, a number, for example, is only a value. It does not have any properties or methods attached to it. So a data type like that, which has got no properties or methods that can be attached to it, is called a primitive. Okay? So let's check the type of our variable x. We know it's a number, but let's print that in the console. So to do that, we're going to use an operator called typeOf. There are many operators in JavaScript. You're going to find a list of operators in the resources of the course. So typeOf space x. So this will print the type of our variable x. So let's try that. Okay, so x is a number. Okay, so you can also have fractional numbers in JavaScript. So let's define a variable y and set it to 2.4. Okay. You can also use some mathematical expressions. So if you define a variable z and you want z to be equal to 5.3 multiplied by 10 to the 8th power. Okay, there's an easy way of doing that in JavaScript. You just type 5.3 e 8. Okay, so if you print z, this is what you're going to get. All right, so now if you remember, we said that JavaScript will allocate 64 bits for any integer or any number that you create in JavaScript. So this has got a consequence. So inside 64 bits, there has to be a maximum number that you can store in JavaScript, because you only have 64 bits for numbers. Okay, so let's find out what that maximum number is. And also you're going to find what the minimum is. Okay, so let's define a variable I or max, where we're going to store that number. So you're going to use the number global object. So number is also a global object, just like console, and it's got properties and methods. So one of the properties of this object is called max value. So this value is going to return the maximum numeric value representable in JavaScript. Okay. So let's print max. And this is the maximum number you can have in JavaScript. Okay. And similarly, there is a minimum number in JavaScript. And it's going to correspond to min value, okay, which is also a property of the global object's number. And let's print that. And this is the smallest number in JavaScript. Just bear in mind that when we speak about the smallest number in JavaScript here, we're talking about the absolute value. This doesn't include any sign, okay, so we're talking about the smallest positive number. Okay, so in the next video, you're gonna look at JavaScript arithmetics.